Hello, my name is Christopher Coulter, and this is the story of Kamiak Butte. Kamiak Butte Park, located about 15 miles from the Washington State campus in Pullman, Washington. This park is an invaluable resource to the Environmental Studies program at WSU. The park provides a great learning environment for many students. It also has become a hotspot for field trips and daily hikes. It provides the area with much needed biodiversity and a home to many species. Many of these species need Kamiak Butte because of the farmland around. Kamiak Butte, like other ecosystems in this area, act as islands in Pullman. Because there is so much farmland around, many of these ecosystems find themselves cut off from each other. This interesting scenario provides great opportunities for research. To further understand the importance of this place, one must understand how it all came to be. Just like in most stories, we have to start in the beginning to truly understand the ending. All came together. From fire, rain, and wind, Kamiak Butte was born. There were three huge factors that helped shape Kamiak Butte as a whole. Two of these factors were a lot more catastrophic than the last. The basalt floods and ice age shaped much of what we now know as Washington. About 17 million years ago, magma started erupting from the earth in Washington. This magma would leave behind large amounts of basalt wherever it went. The magma would end up covering Washington, Idaho, and Oregon. This magma would cover all of eastern Washington except for the top of Kamiak Butte, meaning that Kamiak Butte is one of the few places in Pullman where there's no basalt. After this fire event, we had a cold one. The Ice Age started about 2.6 million years ago. During this Ice Age, huge glaciers were created. Eventually, these glaciers would melt a bit and start to move. Because these glaciers were so big, they would carve out the ground itself as they moved, moving and destroying everything in their path. These glaciers would also get stuck and cause huge amounts of water to build up. This water would also build and build and build until it would burst over. The resulting floods would wash all over eastern Washington. The last factor to influence the process is wind. After the floodwaters were all washed away, they left behind lots of soil. This soil had all the nutrients from the glaciers destroying everything. When it dried, the wind carried it all over eastern Washington. These soils would later be called loess soil and would be responsible for the vast amounts of farmland in Pullman. With these three factors, they make Kamiak Butte unique and prime for study. North side versus south side. The two images on the right show the north side and south side of Kamiak Butte. And this is another super unique thing about Kamiak. The north side is super full of trees and lush vegetation, while the south side, on the other hand, is barren and full of mostly grasses. The reason to this has to do with the biotic and abiotic factors in both respective sides. The north side gets less solar radiation than the south. This happens because of the topography of the area. Because of the position of the hills, the north-facing side gets less sunlight. Less sunlight means less evaporation. The image on the left shows a good illustration of this. This leads to the soil being able to hold more water, increasing the available water for plant growth. This also means the area tends to be quite cooler. Snow tends to stay around a lot longer on the side as well. The south side is almost the complete opposite. All the extra sunlight leads to an increase in temperature. When the temperature increases, so does the increase in evaporation. The ground is left with less water and can't retain as much throughout the year. On the south side, the soil dries out fast. The topsoil doesn't have any water really because of this. Many species have a hard time growing on the side. This is why there aren't that many shrubs or trees on the south side. The south side also happens to be a lot windier. With few trees and little rock coverage, the wind on the side is intense. It's very easy to lose a hat on the side. North versus south tree data. These two graphs here were taken from trees on the north side and south side, respectively. And as you can see by the graph, the north side trees, they grow taller, are thicker, and are healthier in almost every way. So if I was a tree, I would pick the north side over the south side any day. Speaking of interactions, as for wildlife in Kamiak Butte, there's quite a bit present. There are many species that reside in Kamiak Butte, from deer, birds, turkey, coyotes, and even moose. Kamiak has got it all. There are many fascinating interactions between species in this ecosystem. As one could have guessed, the carrying capacity of Kamiak Butte isn't the largest. This means that the area can't support a large number of individuals in a species. Yes, there might be moose and deer here, but there aren't that many due to the carrying capacity. And then you can see here we have some pictures of mule deer, coyotes, moose, porcupine, and turkeys. And all these pictures were taken straight from trail cams from the virtual ecology website of Kamiak Butte. Predator interactions. As you've probably learned already, Kamiak is a very unique place. Keeping with this theme, Kamiak Butte also doesn't have any large predators. Well, not that it doesn't have any large predators, they just don't stick around. Bears have been known to visit Kamiak occasionally, but they don't stay. Otherwise, there were no predators larger than, say, an owl or a coyote. This creates very unique interactions and behaviors that other ecosystems can't recreate. The large herbivores like moose and deer don't really have any fears because of this. There's nothing big enough to hunt them, so they have nothing to fear. This leads to overgrazing on certain plant species. This also ties into the carrying capacity in the area as well. Because of the lack of predators, offspring have a much higher chance of surviving. This means that every calf puts a strain on the carrying capacity. It's almost like these animals have to anticipate the carrying capacity before they have children. Just another thing making Kamiak Butte so interesting. Concluding with, Kamiak Butte is a prime example of ecosystems we need to protect. It's home to many and provides for many. I believe this park should be protected and maintained well into the future. I also believe that students should continue to learn from this place as well. Kamiak Butte should be incorporated into more of the curriculum into the school. This way, students get more of a hands-on look into unique ecosystems like this one. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.